Hello everyone, welcome back again to our channel. So today we are going to discuss about Terraform providers. Okay, so in the Terraform providers, we are going to discuss about some of the Terraform, providers. So it's a major Terraform providers, which is AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay, so AWS is Amazon Web Services, and Azure is Microsoft Azure, and then GCP is Google Cloud Platform. Okay, so we're going to see how Terraform providers will work with all these three you know all these three services, right? So these are the major cloud services which will be which will be having a separate providers for each one of these. So next we are going to see about what is Terraform providers. Okay, so Terraform providers are the plugins, okay, so that Terraform uses to manage these resources, right? So, so I mean, if you wanted to interact with any one of the cloud providers, cloud services, maybe so you need to have a, Terraform providers to be installed in your machine by default. Okay, so if you don't have this, if you don't have this, the plugins to be installed already, so then you won't be able to communicate with your AWS services or Azure services, which are the cloud you're using. Okay, so providers are kind of some kind of a packages, so that will be installed in your machine to enable the features to provision resources. Okay, so that's what it is. So every supported services in um, services or infrastructure platform as a provider that defines which resources are available, and then platform API calls to manage these resources. Okay, so this is what something a very basic thing which we need to understand. Okay, so let's go to the demo and see how are we going to provision these things. Okay, so this is what kind of a Terraform configuration, right? This is my first Terraform provider configuration. So what I did, I'm inside this Terraform folder. I've created one file name called provider.tf. Okay, so this is called, so any kind of a files in Terraform will work with .tf. Okay, so if you have any file name called .tf, that will be considered as a Terraform files. Okay, so Terraform will not specifically go through each and every files, right? So we don't need to specify what is the workflow of this one. So whenever there is a .tf file is there, Terraform will consider that as a Terraform files. Okay, so now in this case we are going to discuss about like what is Terraform block. Okay, so if we can remove this one. Okay, so this is a basic Terraform block where we'll be mentioning some of the important aspects of this one. So as you can see here, the required providers. Okay, which means that so Terraform will be making these providers as a required ones. Okay, so now if you can see, there is no additional files and folders available over here, right? So what are we doing is going to do is that we are going to make Azure RM kind of the um, uh, configuration. For example, we have some different kind of providers. For example, how do you get to know that my provider name is Azure RM or AWS or anything? So if you want to find it out, you have to go to the Azure RM like Terraform page. For example, if you can go to Google and then you can type of Terraform providers. Okay, you will get to see the first link. Okay, so you can click on this one. You will get to know, you will come, you'll get this, this page, right? So this is the main page where you will get to know about what is the providers Terraform is supporting. Okay, so Terraform is supporting a lot of providers, right? One is AWS, Azure, GCP, Kubernetes, Alibaba Cloud, and there are many kind of cloud providers out there. And also, like, so everything is in Helm and DNS, and there are many providers AWS will support. Okay, so for now what we did is, like, so we have just mentioned like Azure RM provider. Okay, so how do you know that whether it is Azure RM provider? Okay, so if you can go to Azure. Okay, if you can go to Azure. Okay, so here you can see the name called Azure RM. Okay, so that is the name that will be replaced over here. Okay, so that is the Azure RM provider. So source is going to be, of course, HashiCorp and then Azure RM. So which means that we are going to download from the HashiCorp and Azure RM. So from this is the source. So the basically, if you have your own providers, you have written, for your purpose, then you can use that particular location as a source. Okay, but for now, this source is going to be downloading from this Azure RM HashiCorp. HashiCorp Azure RM. Okay, so from here it's going to download, and then next, what is the version? So version is, it's like, so what is the latest version of the Azure RM providers. Okay, for example, each and every, we have a lot of versions, right? If you can click on here, you can see a lot of versions which we can use. So each and every versions have a different features included. Okay, so the for the best practices, it's better to use the latest version of this particular, like latest version for each and any kind of a providers you use. It's better to use the latest version of it. Okay, for now I'm using the version called 3.02. Okay, so how are we going to test, how are we going to implement this particular configurations, is that just go and do Terraform init. Okay, so if you do Terraform init, what's going to be happening is that it's going to download this Terraform providers and then keep it in your you know in your uh, uh, in your folder. Okay, so if you can do Terraform init. Okay, now as you can see, installing Terraform Archicop Azure RM version 3.0.2. Okay, so maybe this version is very old. Okay, so this version is pretty old because the latest version now, when I'm recording this video, is 4.1.0. Okay, so now I'm installing like Terraform 0.3.0.2. Okay, as you can see, one of the .terraform and Terraform log file is being created. Okay, so as you can see, one of the versions what we have installed for the Terraform provider is going to be Azure RM. The version is going to be 3.0.2. Okay, now, so this is what called like Azure RM provider. So how are we going to use the AWS providers? Okay, so for now I want to use AWS also. So you may ask me a question like, is it possible for me to use even both AWS and Azure RM, Google Cloud, everything in single place? Yeah, of course it is possible. Okay, so how are we going to find it out? Is that go back here, click on AWS. Okay, as you can see the name, right? So you can just copy exactly the same name, whatever it has been there in the browser. Okay, so just go back here and then type here and then equal and then open bracket. Okay, so now the source is going to be Azure RM. Okay, so Azure RM, and then it's going to be AWS. Okay, the version is going to be so 5.66.0. Okay, so this is the latest version which I'm going to use, or you can use any other versions here. So it's going to be 5.66.0. Okay, now if you want to make sure this configuration is available, okay, but if you can see the log.html file, so log.html file is something which will be keeping record of all the Terraform init configurations, right? So how many providers are installed and what are the configuration and everything. So now as you can see, so we have only one Terraform providers, which is Azure RM, and then I'm going to give Terraform init again. Okay, as you can see now, so Terraform Archicop AWS is downloading. Okay, so after a few seconds, if you can see, so this file will be updated with the Archicop, AWS provider. Okay, it's taking a long time. Okay, so now it's installed. Okay, so now if you can see this, now we can see this file, right? Like this, as soon as this file has been successfully initialized, you can see Archicop AWS provider is being downloaded with the version whatever we have given, and then and then you can see that so the Azure RM provider is also being downloaded. Okay, so now this configuration support both the clouds, right? AWS and Azure. Okay, now let's go and add GCP also, Google Cloud. So if you want to do this, now you know how to add this one, right? Like you can go back here and then click on Google Cloud Platform. Now, as you can see, its name suggests you have to copy this configuration with Google. Yeah, okay. So I'm just copied over here, right? So how simple is this? It's very simple, right? So now the source is going to be source is going to be Archicop, and then here is going to be Google. So I'm going to download. So is it mandatory that we need to mention the version of it? Okay, so for Azure RM and AWS, so I mentioned that version, which version has to be downloaded. But now, if I don't mention this version for this one, so what Terraform is going to do is that it's going to download the latest version of the Terraform, whatever is available. Okay. So now let's try. I'm going to save this configuration and I'm going to try and I'm going to do Terraform init and see what's happening. Okay, now as you can see, I took up Google. Okay, so version 6.2.0 is been downloaded. And as you can see here, so the version is 6.2.0 is downloaded. The reason why is that we have not mentioned any kind of a version constraints. So this is going to be considered as the latest version. Okay, so now if you can go and provide log.html. Okay, as you can see here, log.html, and you can see Google Cloud, Google provider has been added over here. So similarly, you can just go and keep adding all the Terraform providers, so whatever it has been there here, whatever is being there here, Kubernetes or Alibaba Cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, any kind of a providers what you wanted to download and install for your configurations, you can go and download it. Okay, so this is how you'll be installing the providers in the next session, in the next class. So we are going to see how Terraform init works. Okay, so whenever you do Terraform init, what are the things is happening in the background. Okay, so and also we are going to change some kind of a configuration for the versions and everything. We are going to see how the Terraform will be changing the configurations of the of this entire code. So I hope this video would have been helpful for you, and in the next session we are going to see more about Terraform. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please go and subscribe, and also if you have any questions, please reach out to us on this number. We will like to help you for the inquiries. Okay, so thank you so much and see you again.